The afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the Sunshine Diner, catching dust particles that danced in the golden light. It was Thursday, and Andre, a waiter who had been working at the family restaurant for nearly 5 years, was having what he'd call an ordinary day. The lunch rush had just ended and he was wiping down tables, his mind wandering to evening plans with friends when the bell above the door chimed. A family of 3 walked in, a mom and dad, followed by a young girl in a wheelchair. Andre watched as they navigated the space between tables, the father carefully guiding his daughter's wheelchair, while the mother scanned the restaurant for an accessible spot. Without hesitation, Andre moved toward them. "Welcome to Sunshine," he said with a genuine smile. "Would you prefer a booth or a table?" The mother glanced at her daughter's wheelchair and then at the booths. "A table would be better if you have one that works." "Absolutely. Follow me." Andre led them to a corner table he knew would accommodate the wheelchair perfectly. It was slightly higher than standard tables and had removable chairs. He quickly cleared away one chair to make space. The little girl, who appeared to be around 9 or 10 years old, looked up at him with curious eyes. She had dark hair pulled back in a neat ponytail, and a bright yellow t-shirt with a cartoon character Andre didn't recognize. "This is perfect. Thank you," the father said as he positioned his daughter's wheelchair at the table. Andre handed them menus and filled water glasses. "My name is Andre and I'll be taking care of you today. Can I start you off with anything besides water?" "Apple juice, please," the girl said enthusiastically. "With a straw?" "Lily, what do we say?" her mother reminded gently. "Apple juice, please, with a straw, please," Lily corrected herself, her smile never fading. Andre winked at her, one apple juice with a straw coming right up for the polite young lady. As he walked away to get the juice, Andre observed the family from the corner of his eye. There was something about them that felt different from the usual customers. They weren't loud or demanding, but there was a quiet strength in how they moved through the world together, a unity that spoke of weathered challenges. When he returned with the apple juice, Lily was explaining something to her parents, her hands moving animatedly as she spoke. She paused mid-sentence when she noticed Andre. "Thank you." She took a long sip through the straw. "Are we ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" Andre asked. The parents ordered simple meals, a club sandwich for the father and a Caesar salad for the mother. When it came to Lily's turn, she furrowed her brow in concentration as she studied the kids' menu. "Do you have any recommendations?" she asked Andre seriously, as though consulting an expert. Andre pretended to think deeply about this important question. "Well, I personally think our grilled cheese is pretty amazing. We use 3 kinds of cheese and it comes with a side of sweet potato fries instead of regular ones if you want." Lily's eyes widened. 3 kinds? And sweet potato fries? That sounds perfect. As Andre wrote down their order, he noticed a small worn stuffed rabbit tucked beside Lily in her wheelchair. "I like your rabbit," he commented. "This is Mr. Hopper. He goes everywhere with me," Lily explained, patting the stuffed animal's head. "He's very brave." "I bet he is," Andre replied. "Just like his owner, I'm guessing." Lily beamed at this and Andre caught a look passing between the parents, a mixture of gratitude and something like relief. He realized they were probably used to people either avoiding interaction with their daughter or treating her with awkward pity. Andre did neither. He simply saw a bright kid who happened to be in a wheelchair. Over the next hour, Andre checked on them regularly, finding excuses to chat with Lily, who was delightfully talkative. He learned she was in 4th grade, loved science class, and had a pet goldfish named Bubbles. When he brought their food, he made sure everything was positioned within easy reach for her. "How's everything tasting?" Andre asked when he came to refill their drinks. "The grilled cheese is even better than you said," Lily declared, holding up the sandwich with one bite taken out of it. "Mr. Hopper wishes he could try it, but he's stuffed with cotton, not food," Andre laughed. "Well, Mr. Hopper is missing out, but I'm glad you're enjoying it." As the meal progressed, Andre noticed the parents relaxing more. The mother, who had seemed tense when they arrived, was now smiling as she watched her daughter chat animatedly. The father caught Andre's eye at one point and gave a small nod of appreciation. Near the end of their meal, Andre overheard a snippet of conversation as he approached with the dessert menu. "But when will we figure out what to do for my birthday?" Lily was asking, a note of worry in her voice that hadn't been there before. "It's only 3 weeks away." "We're working on it, sweetie," her mother replied, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. We'll come up with something special. But Kira had her party at that bouncy castle place and Taylor had hers at the skating rink. Lily's shoulders slumped slightly. I just want my friends to come and have fun too. I know, Lilybug, her father said gently. We're looking at some different options this year. Andre could sense their dilemma without having to hear more. Finding accessible, exciting venues for a child's birthday party could be challenging. He'd seen similar situations before. His cousin Ray used forearm crutches, and Andre had witnessed firsthand the obstacles Ray's family faced when planning celebrations. Pretending he hadn't heard their conversation, Andre approached with a cheerful, "Anyone interested in dessert today? Our chocolate lava cake is pretty legendary." The mood lightened as Lily immediately perked up. Chocolate lava cake? Is it really like lava? Well, when you cut into it, warm chocolate sauce flows out like a tiny volcano, Andre explained, making an erupting motion with his hands. Yes, please, Lily exclaimed, looking to her parents for permission. I think we can share one, her mother agreed. And Andre noticed the grateful way she seized the opportunity to move past the birthday conversation. When Andre brought the cake with 3 forks, he made sure to set it directly in front of Lily. The birthday dilemma stuck in his mind as he watched her carefully push her fork into the cake, her face lighting up with delight when the chocolate center oozed out. It really is like lava, she gasped. Andre found himself smiling as he walked away, an idea beginning to form in his mind. The restaurant had a private room they sometimes used for small gatherings. His manager, Dion, was pretty flexible about staff using the space for community events during slower periods. When the family was finishing up, Andre brought their check. Lily was using her napkin to wipe chocolate from her fingers, her face content. Everything was great, thank you, the father said, handing Andre his credit card. It was my pleasure, Andre replied sincerely. He hesitated, then added, I couldn't help overhearing earlier about the birthday party situation. The parents exchanged a quick glance and the mother's expression became guarded. Oh yes, we're still figuring things out. I hope this isn't overstepping, Andre continued, but we have a private room here that's fully accessible. It's not huge, but it can hold about 15 people comfortably. If you're interested, I could talk to my manager about it. We've hosted small birthday parties before. Lily's eyes widened. A party here? With the chocolate lava cake? Andre smiled at her enthusiasm. Absolutely, with as many lava cakes as you want. We couldn't ask you to go to any trouble, the father began, but Andre could see a flicker of interest in his eyes. It's no trouble at all, Andre assured them. Just something to consider. The room has its own entrance from the side parking lot too, which makes it even easier for accessibility. As they prepared to leave, Lily looked up at Andre. I hope we get you as our waiter next time we come here. I hope so too, Andre replied. He watched as the family made their way out, the father carefully navigating the wheelchair through the tables again. Something about their situation had touched him. Perhaps it reminded him of his cousin, or maybe it was simply the bright spirit of the girl who clearly didn't let her wheelchair define her. After they left, Andre found himself thinking about the private room and what it would take to transform it into a special birthday celebration space. He hadn't planned on getting involved, but something told him this was important. Sometimes life placed you exactly where you needed to be, at precisely the right moment. With newfound purpose, Andre cleared their table and prepared it for the next guests, already mentally listing what he would need to do to make a birthday party happen in that private room. The afternoon sun continued to stream through the windows, but somehow the ordinary day didn't feel so ordinary anymore. Andre couldn't get Lily and her family out of his mind for the rest of his shift. As he served other tables, cleaned spills, and ran food from the kitchen, his thoughts kept drifting back to the young girl's disappointed face when she talked about her upcoming birthday. It struck a chord with him that felt deeply personal. That evening, after his shift ended, Andre sat at the empty bar while Dayon, his manager, counted the day's receipts. The restaurant had closed 30 minutes ago, and the kitchen staff were finishing their cleanup in the back. Hey, Dion, you got a minute? Andre asked, spinning slightly on the bar stool. Dion glanced up from the stack of receipts. What's up? You switching shifts again? No, nothing like that. I wanted to ask about the private room. Andre leaned forward. There was this family in today, mom, dad, and their daughter who uses a wheelchair. The girl, Lily, She's having a birthday soon, but they're struggling to find a place that's accessible for her. Dion set down his pen. And you're thinking of our side room? Exactly, Andre nodded. I kind of already mentioned it to them as a possibility. I know we don't advertise it for parties, but it's perfect. Ground level, wide doorway, its own bathroom. When were you thinking? Dion asked, his expression thoughtful rather than dismissive, which Andre took as a good sign. That's the thing. I don't know exactly when her birthday is, just that it's coming up in about 3 weeks. I was hoping they might come back, or maybe I could leave my number if they call. Dion tapped his fingers on the counter. If it's a weekday lunch or an early dinner on Sunday, I don't see a problem. Saturday would be tough with how busy we get. Andre felt a surge of hope. Thanks, Dion, I appreciate it. Don't thank me yet. You'll be the one handling everything if they take you up on it, Dion warned. But there was a hint of a smile on his face. I know. I'm good with that. Later that night in his small apartment, Andre found himself opening his laptop and searching for accessible birthday party ideas. He wasn't even sure if Lily's parents would follow up on his offer, but something about their situation had touched him deeply. As he scrolled through websites and forums, memories of his own sister Nina flooded back. Nina had been born with cerebral palsy, and he still remembered how their mom had struggled to find places that could accommodate her wheelchair for birthday celebrations. The disappointment on Nina's face when friends couldn't come because the venue wasn't accessible was something he'd never forgotten. Nina was grown now and living in another state, but the memories of those childhood struggles remained vivid. Maybe that's why he felt such a strong pull to help Lily. It was a chance to create the kind of experience he wished someone had created for his sister all those years ago. 3 days later, Andre was arranging silverware at a table when he spotted them, Lily and her parents entering the restaurant again. His heart gave a little jump of excitement. Look, Mom, it's Andre. Lily's face lit up with recognition as she pointed toward him. Andre smiled and waved, quickly finishing his task before heading over to them. Welcome back. Great to see you all again. We were hoping you'd be working today, Lily's father said. We wanted to talk more about what you mentioned, about the birthday party. Of course, Andre replied, trying to contain his enthusiasm. I already spoke with my manager and he's open to it. Would you like to see the room? After seating them at their table and taking their drink orders, Andre got permission from Dion to show them the private room. He led them through the restaurant and around to a side door that opened into a cozy space with large windows facing a small garden area. It's not fancy, Andre explained, but it's got its own entrance from the parking lot here. He demonstrated how the double doors opened wide enough for Lily's wheelchair. And the bathroom through that door is fully accessible. Lily wheeled herself around the space, testing how easily she could move. This is so cool. We could decorate it and everything. Her parents exchanged looks that Andre recognized as cautious hope. What kind of cost are we looking at? Her father asked, the practical question that was clearly on both parents' minds. Andre had anticipated this. The room itself would be free if you're ordering food. We'd just need to cover the cost of meals for your guests, plus any special decorations you want. I can help with setting everything up. That's incredibly generous, Lily's mother said, her voice tinged with disbelief. Andre shrugged. My sister uses a wheelchair too. I know how hard it can be to find good spaces for celebrations. Understanding dawned on their faces. Lily's father extended his hand. I'm Thomas, by the way. This is my wife Grace, and you've already met our daughter Lily. Andre shook his hand firmly. Nice to meet you all properly. When is your birthday exactly, Lily? Andre asked, turning to the excited girl who was now examining the view from the windows. October 12th, she answered, spinning her wheelchair to face him. That's a Saturday. Andre's heart sank slightly, remembering Dion's words about Saturdays being difficult. But looking at Lily's hopeful face, he knew he had to try. Let me check with my manager about that specific date, he said, not wanting to make promises he couldn't keep. How many friends would you want to invite? I have 8 best friends, Lily declared confidently, plus my cousin Ben and my grandma and grandpa. So about 12 guests total plus the 3 of you, Andre calculated. That's perfect for this space. Back at their table over grilled cheese sandwiches and salads, they discussed details. Andre learned that Lily loved outer space and the stars, information he tucked away for later. What do you think? Thomas asked Grace quietly while Lily was distracted by her dessert. Grace watched her daughter's animated expressions. I think it could work beautifully. It's accessible, not too overwhelming, and she already likes it here. Andre tried not to appear too invested in their decision, but he found himself holding his breath slightly. If you can confirm the Saturday would work, we'd like to move forward with this, Thomas told Andre. It's such a weight off our shoulders to find a place that works for Lily and her friends. I'll talk to Dion right away, Andre promised, unable to hide his smile. Later that evening, Andre approached Dion's office with determination. He knocked on the open door. Got a minute? Dion looked up from his computer. Let me guess, the birthday party? Andre nodded. October 12th, it's a Saturday. Dion frowned. I told you Saturdays are tough. I know, but it's her actual birthday, Andre explained. Her name is Lily, she's turning 10 and she loves space, stars and planets and all that. Her parents have been struggling to find an accessible place that doesn't make her feel different. Dion leaned back in his chair. You're really invested in this, aren't you? My sister Nina never got to have a real birthday party with all her friends when we were kids, Andre said quietly. Every place was either not accessible or too expensive. I want to help make this happen for Lily. After a long moment, Dion sighed. October 12th, what time? Lunch maybe 11:30 to 2:30, before our dinner rush. You'll handle everything? Decorations, setup, service? Everything, Andre confirmed. I'll even come in early to decorate. Fine. Dion shook his head with a reluctant smile. But I can't spare other staff during Saturday lunch. This is on you. Thank you. Andre resisted the urge to hug his manager. I promise it won't impact regular service. It better not, Dion warned, but his eyes were kind. And Andre? It's a good thing you're doing. The next day, Andre called the number Grace had left with him. When she answered, he could barely contain his excitement. The room is all yours on October 12th, from 11:30 to 2:30, he told her. We can start setting up around 10 if that works for you. Grace's voice filled with emotion. You have no idea what this means to us, Andre. Lily hasn't stopped talking about it since yesterday. I'm happy to help, he replied honestly. And I have some ideas for a space theme if that sounds good. She would love that. After hanging up, Andre felt a sense of purpose he hadn't experienced in a long time. This wasn't just about a birthday party anymore. It was about creating a moment where Lily could just be a kid celebrating with friends, without limitations or reminders of what she couldn't do. Over the next few days, Andre found himself jotting down ideas during his breaks. Space-themed decorations he could make by hand. Simple games that would work for all abilities. Maybe even asking his friend who worked at the planetarium if he could borrow some educational materials about the stars. What had started as a simple suggestion was evolving into something more meaningful. Andre wasn't just helping to host a party. He was helping to create a memory that would last for years, and somehow in a way he hadn't expected. It felt like he was also doing something for Nina, healing an old childhood wound neither of them had fully acknowledged. With a deep breath, Andre tucked his notebook of ideas into his pocket. He had 3 weeks to plan the perfect space-themed birthday party for a little girl who deserved the stars. The next 3 weeks flew by in a whirlwind of planning and preparation. Andre found himself spending nearly every free moment thinking about Lily's birthday party. His small apartment slowly filled with space-themed decorations, paper stars hanging from lamps, a half-finished banner reading, "Happy 10th Birthday, Lily," spread across his living room floor, and bags of glow-in-the-dark planets he'd found on sale at the craft store. You're really going all out for this kid, aren't you? His roommate Pete commented one evening. Carefully stepping over a pile of blue and purple tissue paper, Andre was fashioning into nebula-like decorations. Andre looked up from where he sat cross-legged on the floor. I guess I am. He paused, scissors in hand. You remember how I told you about my sister Nina? Pete nodded as he grabbed a soda from the fridge. The one who had all those hospital stays when you were kids? Yeah, she never got to have a real birthday party with friends. Mom was always working 2 jobs and finding places that could handle her wheelchair was tough. Andre smoothed out a wrinkle in the tissue paper. I just keep thinking how much it would have meant to her if someone had done this. Pete took a seat on the couch, observing the chaos of party supplies. Have you told Nina about this?
Not yet.
Maybe after it's done. Andre picked up his phone and scrolled through a list. Hey, you still have that friend who works at the bakery, right? Valerie? Yeah, why? I'm trying to find someone who can make a space-themed cake that won't cost a fortune. Pete grabbed his own phone. I'll text her now. She owes me a favor anyway. This was how Andre had been operating, calling in favors, making connections, stretching his limited budget to create something special. The restaurant was providing the space and basic food, but Andre wanted more than just the basics for Lily's celebration. 2 weeks before the party, Andre visited Stargazers, the local astronomy club that met in the community center. He'd found them online and sent an email explaining the situation. Their response had been immediate and enthusiastic. "So you're the waiter who's planning the space party?" A gray-haired woman named Dorothy greeted him. She was the club president, according to the email exchanges. "That's quite a project you've taken on." "It's nothing, really," Andre said, feeling slightly embarrassed by her admiration. "I'm just trying to help out." "Nonsense. It's a beautiful thing you're doing." Dorothy led him into a room where several other club members were gathered around telescopes and star charts. "Everyone, this is Andre. He's the one I told you about." An older man with bushy eyebrows looked up from a telescope he was adjusting. "The birthday party guy. I'm Howard. We've got some ideas for you." For the next hour, Andre was overwhelmed by the group's generosity. They offered to bring 2 telescopes to set up in the small garden outside the private room, weather permitting. Howard had created a simple star projector that could turn the ceiling of the room into a mini planetarium. Another member, a retired science teacher named Lou, volunteered to come and give a short, kid-friendly presentation about the planets. "We can bring models of the solar system, some meteorite samples the kids can touch, and star maps they can take home," Dorothy explained. "We love getting young people excited about astronomy. This is way more than I expected," Andre admitted, genuinely moved by their enthusiasm. Howard patted him on the shoulder. "That's what community is about, son. You started something good and we're happy to be part of it." As Andre left the community center with a box of space materials and promises of more help to come, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The party was growing beyond his original vision, becoming something bigger than he'd planned. Would it be too much? Would Lily feel overwhelmed? He called Grace that evening to update her on the plans and make sure everything still aligned with what Lily would want. "The astronomy club wants to bring telescopes and do a little presentation," he explained. "Is that something Lily would enjoy, or is it too educational for a birthday party?" Grace's laugh came through the phone. "Andre, you have no idea. Lily has been saving her allowance for a telescope since she was 7. She has glow-in-the-dark stars all over her ceiling. She would absolutely love this." Relief washed over him. "That's great to hear. And how are the invitations going? Do you know how many kids will be coming?" "We've heard back from everyone. All 8 of her friends can make it, plus her cousins and grandparents. The kids' parents are so grateful for the accessible venue. 2 of Lily's friends use mobility aids too, and they often get left out of birthday parties." This information hit Andre hard. He hadn't realized that Lily's friends might be facing similar challenges. The party was becoming even more meaningful than he'd initially thought. "That's perfect," he said, jotting down the final number in his planning notebook. "And did you want me to handle the cake, or did you have something in mind?" "Actually, we'd like to handle the cake ourselves," Grace said. "It's one tradition Thomas and I want to keep from her previous birthdays. We have a bakery we've used since she was little." "Of course," Andre agreed. "Just let me know when you want to drop it off and I can keep it in the restaurant's fridge." The weekend before the big day, Andre enlisted Pete's help to test some of the activities he'd planned. They cleared their living room furniture and practiced games that could be played from both standing and seated positions. "This beanbag toss isn't as easy as it looks," Pete complained after missing the target, a cardboard black hole that Andre had painted for the 5th time. "That's the point," Andre laughed. "It's supposed to be challenging, but still fun." He'd carefully considered each activity, making sure everything would be accessible for all abilities. There was a space trivia game with easy and hard questions mixed together, a design-your-own alien craft station, and constellation bingo with prizes he'd picked up at the dollar store. 3 days before the party, Valerie from the bakery texted Pete with news that made Andre's heart sink. "She says they can't do the cupcakes after all," Pete reported, looking up from his phone. "Some big wedding order came in and they're swamped." Andre ran a hand over his face. The cupcakes were supposed to be an addition to the main cake Grace and Thomas were bringing. Little treats decorated like different planets that the kids could take home. "Okay," Change of plans, Andre said, opening his laptop. We're making them ourselves. Pete raised his eyebrows. We? I don't bake, man. You do now, Andre said firmly. It's just cupcakes. How hard can it be? The answer, as they discovered the next evening, was surprisingly hard. Their kitchen looked like a flour bomb had exploded, and the first batch of cupcakes had emerged from the oven looking more like sad, deflated meteors than planets. Maybe we should have practiced first, Pete admitted, poking at a lopsided cupcake. Andre checked the time. It was almost midnight, and he had an early shift the next day. Let's try one more batch. If they don't work, we'll figure out something else. By 1:30 a.m., they had 24 passable cupcakes cooling on every available surface in their small kitchen. They weren't perfect, but with the colored frosting and sprinkles Andre had bought, they'd work. We'll decorate them tomorrow, he said, exhaustion evident in his voice as he cleaned buttercream frosting from the counter. Thanks for helping, Pete. No problem, Pete yawned. But you owe me. The day before the party, Andre met with Dayon to go over the final arrangements. They walked through the private room together as Andre explained the setup. Astronomy club will be here with telescopes. He pointed to the garden area. Tables for food along this wall, craft station here, games in this corner. Dayon nodded, looking impressed despite himself. You really thought of everything, didn't you? I hope so, Andre said, anxiety creeping into his voice for the first time. I just want it to be perfect for her. It will be, Dayon assured him. But remember, kids don't need perfect. They need fun and inclusion. From what you've told me, that's exactly what you're providing. Those words stayed with Andre as he headed home to finish the last preparations. Fun and inclusion. That's what he'd wanted to create all along. A space where Lily could celebrate with friends without barriers or limitations. Where she could just be a 10-year-old having the time of her life. As he carefully packed the finished decorations, Andre felt a rare sense of accomplishment. No matter what happened tomorrow, he knew he'd poured his heart into this project. He sent a quick text to Grace confirming the final details, then set his alarm for 6 a.m. Tomorrow would be a big day, and he wanted to be ready for every moment of it. The morning of October 12th arrived with a sky so perfectly blue it seemed like a birthday gift itself. Andre woke before his alarm, a mixture of excitement and nerves bubbling in his stomach. Today was the day, Lily's 10th birthday party. After 3 weeks of planning, calling in favors, and late nights crafting decorations, it was finally happening. He arrived at the restaurant at 7 a.m., 3 hours before the setup was supposed to begin. Dayon was already there, counting inventory for the main restaurant. You're early, Dayon observed, looking up from his clipboard. Couldn't sleep, Andre admitted. Mind if I get started now? Dayon handed him the keys to the side room. It's all yours. I put aside the tablecloths and chairs you requested. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Andre transformed the simple restaurant space into an outer space wonderland. Dark blue tablecloths dotted with glow-in-the-dark stars covered each table. Strings of lights resembling distant galaxies draped from the ceiling. The walls were decorated with posters of planets and star systems borrowed from the astronomy club. In the corner, he set up a design-your-own-alien station with colored paper, markers, googly eyes, and pipe cleaners. Pete arrived at 9:30, carrying 2 boxes of the homemade planet cupcakes, now decorated with colorful frosting and candy toppings. Where do you want these? He asked, surveying the transformed room with wide eyes. Wow, this looks amazing, Andre. Thanks, Andre said, adjusting a star hanging slightly askew. Put the cupcakes on that table by the window for now. We'll move them once the main cake arrives. Dorothy and Howard from the astronomy club showed up next, wheeling in telescopes and boxes of space materials. Howard immediately began setting up his star projector, aiming it at the ceiling. This will look better when we dim the lights, he explained. But even with them on, you'll get a nice effect. By 10:45, everything was ready. The food was being kept warm in the kitchen, the games were set up, and Lou from the astronomy club was arranging meteorite samples and moon rocks on a display table. Andre stood in the center of the room, taking it all in. I think we've done it, he said to Pete, who was adjusting the final decorations. She's going to love it, Pete assured him. They all will. At 11:15, Grace texted that they were on their way. Lily still had no idea what was happening. They'd told her they were going out for a birthday lunch, but nothing about the party or the guests waiting for her. Andre gathered everyone in the room. Pete, the astronomy club members, and 2 servers from the restaurant who'd volunteered to help during their break. Okay, they'll be here in about 10 minutes. Everyone know what they're doing? Nods all around. Andre took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. Why was he so nervous? This wasn't even his party. But somehow it felt like one of the most important things he'd ever done. At 11:25, Grace texted again. We're here. Coming to side entrance. Places, everyone! Andre called. Pete dimmed the lights slightly, and Howard turned on the star projector, casting a soft glow of stars and planets across the ceiling. Andre positioned himself by the door. When it swung open, he was greeted by Thomas's smiling face. Thomas gave Andre a quick wink before wheeling Lily into the room, Grace following close behind. Surprise! Everyone called in unison. Lily's reaction was everything Andre had hoped for and more. Her mouth dropped open in perfect astonishment, her eyes widening as they took in the transformed space. For a moment, she was completely speechless, looking from the star-covered ceiling to the decorated tables to the space displays. Is this for me? She finally whispered, gripping the arms of her wheelchair. Happy birthday, Lily, Andre said, kneeling down to her eye level. Do you like it? It's... Lily seemed to struggle to find words big enough. It's the best thing ever, she finally exclaimed, her voice rising with excitement. She turned to her parents. Did you know about this? Is this why we came here? Grace nodded, her eyes shining with tears. Andre has been planning it for weeks. Lily turned back to Andre, her face so full of joy it made his chest tight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without warning, she leaned forward from her wheelchair and threw her arms around his neck in a fierce hug. Andre hugged her back gently, a lump forming in his throat. You're very welcome, birthday girl. But the party's just getting started. Your friends will be here any minute. As if on cue, the door opened again and guests began to arrive. First came Lily's grandparents, carrying gift bags and looking delighted by the decorations. Then one by one, Lily's friends arrived, each reacting with excitement to the space theme. Andre watched as Lily greeted each friend with enthusiasm, especially 2 kids who arrived using mobility devices, a boy with forearm crutches and a girl in a smaller wheelchair. They navigated the room with ease, thanks to the wide spaces Andre had deliberately left between tables and activity stations. The party officially began with lunch, kid-friendly foods like mini pizzas, chicken tenders, and a vegetable tray arranged to look like a rocket ship. Andre moved from table to table, making sure everyone had what they needed. But mostly he stood back and watched as the room filled with laughter and conversation. After lunch, Lou from the astronomy club gave his presentation, passing around moon rocks and meteorite samples. The children were fascinated, asking questions and eagerly touching the space objects. This is an actual piece of the moon? One boy asked in awe, carefully holding a small gray rock. Well, it's a piece of a meteorite that came from the moon, Lou explained. It landed on Earth thousands of years ago. Lily was in the front of the group, absorbing every word and asking the most questions. Her passion for the subject was obvious, and Lou seemed delighted by her curiosity. Next came the games. Andre had designed each one to be accessible for all abilities. The space trivia game had questions written on stars hanging from the ceiling, some high, some low, allowing each child to choose ones they could reach. The beanbag toss into the black hole could be played from any position. Even the craft station was set at a height that worked for both standing kids and those in wheelchairs. Andre noticed that Lily's friends naturally accommodated each other, without making a big deal about the different ways they moved or played. It reminded him of what Grace had said on the phone. Some of these kids often got left out of birthday celebrations. But today they were all included, all able to participate fully. Andre, look at my alien, Lily called, holding up her creation, a purple creature with 5 eyes and sparkly pipe cleaner antennae. I named her Stella because that means star. She's amazing, Andre said with genuine admiration. Best alien I've seen all day. As the afternoon progressed, Howard dimmed the lights completely for the star show, projecting constellations across the ceiling while telling stories about each one. The children lay on cushions on the floor or remained in their mobility devices, all gazing upward in wonder. Next came the telescopes in the garden. The kids took turns looking through them, gasping with delight when they spotted birds in distant trees or details on faraway buildings. Though they couldn't see planets in the daytime, Howard promised that if they looked up that night they might spot Jupiter, which was visible in the evening sky. Finally, it was time for cake. Grace and Thomas brought out the masterpiece they'd ordered, a round cake decorated to look like the moon, with craters and all, and small figures of astronauts standing on the surface. 10 candles glowed like stars against the gray-white frosting. Everyone gathered around to sing happy birthday, and Andre watched as Lily's face glowed with happiness in the candlelight. She closed her eyes tightly to make a wish before blowing out the candles with one determined breath. The room erupted in cheers. As Andre passed out cake slices and the planet cupcakes, Thomas approached him. "I don't even know how to thank you," he said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. "Look at her, Andre. I've never seen her this happy at a birthday." Andre followed his gaze to where Lily was laughing with her friends, a smudge of frosting on her cheek, her eyes bright with joy. "No thanks needed," Andre replied honestly. "This was my pleasure." "You don't understand," Thomas persisted. "It's not just the party, it's what you've given her. A normal birthday where she doesn't feel different, where everything is accessible, where she can just be a kid with her friends." That's priceless," Andre nodded, understanding completely. That had been his goal all along, to create a space where Lily could simply enjoy her birthday without barriers or limitations. As the party began to wind down, Lily's friends lined up to leave, each receiving a goodie bag filled with space-themed items. Glow-in-the-dark stars, astronaut ice cream, small toy rockets, and their alien creations. Parents came to collect their children, many of them seeking out Andre to thank him personally. "My son hasn't been invited to a birthday party in 2 years because of his crutches," one mother whispered, tears in her eyes. This meant everything to him. By 2:30, only Lily and her family remained. The astronomy club had packed up their equipment. Pete had helped clean up the worst of the mess, and Dion had stopped by to announce that the party was officially a success. "Can we do this again next year?" Lily asked as her parents gathered the last of her presents. Andre smiled, his heart full. "We'll see. Maybe for your 11th we'll do a deep-sea theme." Lily's eyes lit up at the idea. "With real fish?" "Well, maybe not real ones," Andre laughed. As they prepared to leave, Lily beckoned Andre closer to her wheelchair. When he leaned down, she handed him a small package wrapped in star-patterned paper. "I made this for you," she said shyly, "to say thank you." Surprised, Andre carefully unwrapped the gift. Inside was a handmade bracelet of blue and silver beads with a small silver star charm dangling from it. "Mom helped me make it," Lily explained. "The star is so you remember me." "As if I could ever forget you," Andre said softly, slipping the bracelet onto his wrist. "This is beautiful, Lily, thank you." "Best birthday ever," she declared, her smile radiant as her father helped her through the door. Andre stood in the doorway watching as they made their way to their car, Lily chattering excitedly about everything that had happened. The autumn sunlight caught the silver star on his wrist, making it gleam. He'd set out to give Lily a special day, but somehow, he was the one who'd received a gift. In the days following Lily's party, Andre found himself thinking about it often. The joy on her face, the gratitude from her parents, the way the other children had moved through the space with such freedom. These images stayed with him, brightening his shifts at the restaurant and giving him a sense of accomplishment, unlike anything he'd felt before. What he didn't expect was how the story would spread. It began simply enough. A few parents who had attended the party with their children came back to the restaurant as customers, asking to be seated in Andre's section. They told friends about the accessible birthday party, who told other friends. Soon Andre was getting stopped by strangers who had heard about what he'd done. "Are you the waiter who threw that space party for the little girl in the wheelchair?" a woman asked one Tuesday afternoon as Andre refilled her water glass. "Yes, that was me," he replied, still surprised by how many people seemed to know about it. "My sister has a son with cerebral palsy," she said. "She cried when I told her about what you did. It's so hard to find places that truly welcome kids like hers." 2 weeks after the party, Grace called the restaurant asking to speak with Andre. "We wanted to let you know something exciting," she said when he picked up the phone. "After Lily's party, Thomas and I couldn't stop talking about how meaningful it was, not just for Lily, but for all the kids who came. I'm glad it worked out so well," Andre said, balancing the phone as he wiped down a table during his shift. "It was more than that. Grace continued. We've decided to start something new. We're calling it Celebrations for All, a small foundation to help create accessible parties and events for kids with disabilities. Andre stopped wiping. Really? That's amazing. We've already partnered with 3 venues in town who are willing to make accommodations similar to what you did, and we're creating a guide for parents and businesses about how to make celebrations more inclusive. Grace paused. We were wondering if you'd be willing to help us sometimes, maybe speak to businesses about simple changes they can make. I'd be honored, Andre said without hesitation. That same week, Dayon called Andre into his office. Andre worried he might be in trouble for something, but Dayon's expression was thoughtful, not stern. That birthday party you did has caused quite a stir, Dayon began, leaning back in his chair. I've had 6 calls this week from parents asking if we do similar events. Oh, Andre said, unsure where this was going. I'm sorry if it's causing problems, Dayon laughed. Problems? Andre, this is an opportunity. I've been thinking about ways to increase business during our slower periods. What would you think about the restaurant offering special accessible celebration packages? We could use that side room, create themed parties like you did for Lily. Andre's eyes widened. That would be incredible. And I'd want you to be in charge of it, Dayon continued. We'd adjust your hours so you'd still have regular serving shifts, but also time to coordinate these special events. It would come with a small raise, of course. Are you serious? Andre couldn't hide his excitement. Completely serious. What you did for that girl? It showed me something about you I hadn't fully appreciated before. You have a gift for this kind of thing, Andre. That night, Andre called his sister Nina to tell her about everything that had happened. He realized with a pang of guilt that he hadn't spoken to her in almost a month, caught up as he'd been with planning Lily's party and his regular work. So now I might be running a whole new party program at the restaurant, he finished, still slightly dazed by the day's events. I'm not surprised, Nina said, her voice warm through the phone. You've always been like this, Andre, seeing a need and filling it often before others even notice the gap. What do you mean? Andre asked, genuinely confused. Nina laughed softly. Don't you remember how you used to rearrange furniture at home whenever I got a new wheelchair, to make sure I could move around easily? Or how you built that ramp for the back door out of wood scraps when Mom couldn't afford a proper one? Andre had forgotten about these things. They had seemed so natural at the time, such obvious solutions to the obstacles his sister faced. I just did what made sense, he said quietly. That's exactly it, Nina replied. What comes naturally to you is something the world desperately needs more of. People who see barriers and think, how can I remove this? Instead of, that's just how things are. Her words stayed with him, opening up a new way of seeing his actions and their impact. A month later, Andre found himself nervously adjusting his tie in the bathroom mirror. He was preparing to speak at a small business luncheon organized by Celebrations for All, Grace and Thomas's new foundation. They had asked him to share the story of Lily's party and offer practical advice to business owners about creating accessible events. You'll do great, Pete reassured him, leaning against the bathroom doorframe. Just talk like you're explaining it to me. Andre nodded, taking a deep breath. Public speaking had never been his thing, but when Grace had asked, he couldn't say no. Not when he thought about the difference it could make for kids like Lily. The luncheon went better than he could have imagined. As he told the story of transforming the restaurant's side room into a space wonderland, he watched the business owners around the room nod and take notes. Many asked questions afterward about specific accommodations and costs. The thing is, Andre explained to a restaurant owner who seemed concerned about expenses, most of what made Lily's party successful didn't cost much extra. It was more about thoughtful planning, making sure there was enough space between tables, designing activities that worked for all abilities, having food that was easy to eat. By the end of the luncheon, 3 more businesses had agreed to partner with the foundation. Andre felt a glow of satisfaction as he helped Grace pack up materials afterward. You're a natural at this, she told him. The way you explain things makes accessibility seem so achievable. As the months passed, Andre settled into his expanded role at the restaurant. The Celebrations for All program, as Dayon had named it, quickly became popular. Andre found himself designing themed parties for children with various needs, not just mobility issues, but sensory sensitivities, visual impairments, and developmental differences. Each celebration taught him something new about creating truly inclusive spaces, but it was his ongoing connection with Lily that brought him the most joy. She and her family became regular customers at the restaurant, and Andre always made time to chat with her when they came in. As promised, for her 11th birthday, he created an underwater-themed party that rivaled the space extravaganza. When Lily turned 12, she asked for something different. Instead of a party just for me, she explained to Andre one afternoon when she stopped by the restaurant with her mother, "I want to help other kids have awesome parties like mine." And so began what Lily called her birthday buddy program. For her 12th birthday, instead of receiving gifts, she helped Andre design and host a celebration for a 7-year-old boy with autism who had never had a birthday party with friends before. Over the next few years, this became their tradition. Andre would design the parties, and Lily, growing more confident and capable each year, would help with planning and hosting. By the time she was 15, she was coming up with themes and activity ideas on her own, with Andre stepping back to a supporting role. "You've created a monster," Grace joked to Andre at one of these events. Watching her daughter confidently directing volunteers, "She talks about accessibility and inclusive design nonstop now. She's going to change the world," Andre replied, not joking at all. When Lily entered high school, she started a club focused on accessibility awareness. She invited Andre to speak at their first meeting, introducing him as the person who showed me that one small act of kindness can start a chain reaction. Standing before the group of teenagers, Andre felt a swell of emotion as he remembered the shy 10-year-old who had once ordered a grilled cheese sandwich at his table. Who could have predicted that his simple offer to host her birthday party would lead to this moment? "The thing about kindness," he told the students, "is that it doesn't stay small for long. It grows and spreads in ways you can't imagine when you're just getting started." 5 years after that first space-themed party, Andre received an envelope in the mail. Inside was an invitation to a special event, the official launch of the Celebrations for All Community Center, a permanent space dedicated to hosting accessible events for people of all ages and abilities. The invitation included a handwritten note from Lily, now 15. "Dear Andre, none of this would exist if you hadn't cared enough to help a kid you barely knew have a birthday party. You changed my life that day, and now we're changing others. The star bracelet I gave you has a twin. I still wear mine every day to remember that sometimes the biggest differences start with the smallest actions. Hope you can make it to the opening. Your friend always, Lily." Andre ran his thumb over the silver star charm he still wore on his wrist sometimes, especially on days when he hosted parties. What had begun as a simple desire to help one child have a special birthday had blossomed into something far greater than he could have imagined. A movement, a mission, a new way of seeing the world. He looked at the invitation again. The opening ceremony was on October 12th, exactly 5 years from the day of Lily's 10th birthday party. Andre smiled at the perfect symmetry of it. Of course he would be there, watching as a single act of kindness completed its transformation into a legacy of inclusion that would touch countless lives for years to come.